Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of the Junk Poetry series. I'm Sheen, and I'm thrilled to announce that this project is now officially updated, transforming into a series of videos that delve into more fascinating topics related to language and art. For those who are unfamiliar with junk poetry, I highly recommend checking out my last video, where I explained the origin of this project. Now, what happened after the release of the first video? Well, I had the opportunity to facilitate an on-site workshop at London College of Fashion with the support of the UAL Academic Support team, as well as my trusted friends and colleagues. It was also my first time leading a junk poetry workshop, and I had extensive discussions about the setup and distribution of modules with my reliable friends. Finally, last week, we put everything to the test, and it was a triumph. I would like to express my heartfelt gratitude to all the participants who were incredibly generous and sincere. The conversations we had were truly amazing, and the resulting poems were incredibly interesting. I couldn't wait to share all these experiences with you. So, let's get started. The workshop was designed to align with the structure of college course. First, we had a short introduction, serving as an icebreaker to get everyone involved. I provided a brief overview of what junk poetry is and how it can possibly be created. Then, I asked each participant to choose an article from that day's newspaper. They could either make a deliberate choice or select one randomly. The first mini task was to create a short story using the chosen words. I intentionally gave no specific instructions and set the timer for 15 minutes. To my surprise, the workshop became instantly intriguing. Since all the participants were native English speakers, it was fascinating to witness the different approaches each person took. While I worked on my own piece, I observed the working process of others. I noticed that some participants cut the blocks of words into lines and then worked on individual sentences. For me, this step wasn't necessary. We later discussed this and realized that native speakers tend to pay more attention to grammatical correctness and often have certain expectations before forming sentences. On the other hand, as a non-native speaker, I don't see words in a predetermined way and might ignore the constraints of grammar. I perceive words as fragmented units rather than lines or phrases. This disparity led to some interesting observations. For instance, I didn't read the entire article before cutting out words, whereas natives might naturally read the whole article first, selecting complete lines to work with. For me, reading the entire article seemed like additional work, so I usually skip it and focus on picking words in a more spontaneous manner. These differences were truly thrilling, and we had engaging discussions around them. It was a perfect start to fostering open and genuine conversation, allowing the participants to naturally and comfortably get to know one another. This prepared us for the next task. Task 2 was a group activity, and it was my personal favorite. In this part, we formed small groups, ideally consisting of 3 to 4 people. Each person had 10 minutes to compose and then pass their work to the next person to continue composing. Each participant had the opportunity to start their own piece and contribute to others' compositions, adding development and concluding sections. And this was when the whole workshop went off the rail. After the warm-ups and idea exchanges, it was evident that all the talented natives were eager to break the rules of grammar, since we only needed to worry about a limited portion. I encouraged everyone to have fun and let the next person deal with the consequences. The resulting collaborations were truly generous. I'll show you some excerpts on the screen now. They were unexpectedly hilarious, and nobody was prepared for them. Laughter filled the room, and it was almost impossible to read those masterpieces out loud without constantly pausing to giggle. This playful approach proved to be more effective than any serious academic seminar. It invited everyone into the conversation, not just through talking, but through collaboration. It took communication to another level, allowing us to decide how much of ourselves we were willing to expose. There was no pressure, no expectations, and what's even better, we all shared a massive burst of laughter. It's not easy to create an environment where people can laugh and comfortably communicate with one another during a workshop. After the laughter subsided, we smoothly transitioned into another round of discussion. By rereading the joint compositions, we could easily identify which parts were written by whom. This emphasized the point that people say what they want to say, regardless of the original materials they used. Thus, whether someone deliberately chose an article or not for the first task didn't matter. It was also intriguing to see participants adopt bolder or even more radical approaches. I was genuinely delighted to witness native speakers intentionally deviating from perfect grammar. This served as a reassurance for non-native speakers who have spent their lives worrying and doubting themselves. I could fully appreciate the beauty and resilience of the English language while sharing my thoughts and joy with all the people in the room. There was no us and them. Language simply served its original purpose, just as it did thousands of years ago. Additionally, we worked in a nostalgic manner, free from electronic devices. We used printed newspapers that have been in use since the invention of typography. Working with text, deep in thought, using our hands, glue sticks, and scissors allowed us to slow down and escape the overwhelming flood of information in today's world. We created a bubble where people could go back to a simpler time, engage in intimate conversations, and enjoy the joy of communication. Accompanied by language and stories, the format of continuous group work provided us with a highly engaging experience and great flexibility. We could mold our thoughts into stories, weaving our ideas and sentences around those of others. There was no right or wrong, and everyone relished in the act of playfully altering others' work or collectively transforming the entire piece. Unfortunately, time flew by and we ran out of time for the third task, which would have involved individual exploration. Each participant would have been given 30 to 15 minutes to compose a piece, using any material available on the table. I had prepared some markers and there were also magazines with images. I was genuinely curious to see how these elements would influence the compositions. Hopefully, I'll have the chance to explore this in the future. Furthermore, I wonder how the conversation would evolve if we had multilingual participants or non-native speakers present. This 2-hour workshop was an incredibly enjoyable experience for me and my dear participants. I received some heartwarming feedback, and we produced several lovely pieces through collaborative efforts. Once again, it reminded me of the beauty of language and the thrilling adventure it can provide. Finally, I would like to share some reflections on facilitating this workshop. I have some prior teaching experience, but in the past, I used to teach in a rather thoughtful manner. Using the word teach already places the teacher in a higher position than the student. The outcome of such a thoughtful and arrogant teaching approach is either damage or uselessness. Therefore, if I were to facilitate a workshop, I wouldn't teach anyone anything. At the end of the day, people don't enjoy being educated. My primary goal is to communicate and connect with people, to learn from them, and they might not learn from me. If anyone feels they have learned something from the workshop, it's because they chose to educate themselves, not because of me. I have a long way to go, and this project serves as a mirror, reminding me to stay humble, treat people with sincerity, listen without prejudice, think critically, communicate effectively, and seek understanding. Special thanks to all the collaborative composers, Adam, Karen, and Katrina. I would be delighted to collaborate with you all again in the future. To those interested in this project, please feel free to leave your comments in the section below. Like and subscribe to this channel, and I'll see you in the next video. Tschüss! Cut!